That one glorious word represents more than just the geography between the Sabine and the Rio Grande. It represents a unique idea and way of life. A life of rugged individualism, proud self-reliance, gritty toughness, and fierce independence. That is what made Texas, and that is what will save her again. Howdy, folks. Sam Houston here. I want to thank you for tuning into the Feed Bandit podcast. Feed Bandit is the Texas first outdoors brand built by rabid Texans, for rabid Texans, and all those who aim to be one someday. We unapologetically promote the ideals that shape our Texas pride and Texas first patriotism through our love of hunting, the outdoors, and the gear and apparel we create. Texas, above all else, preserve the tradition, protect the legacy. Check us out at feedbandit.com. And to repeat that great rallying cry from a former colleague of mine, liberty or death. Now, enough of my talking. Here are a couple of bandits that love Texas as much as I do. Enjoy.
Howdy, friend. Welcome back to the Feed Bandit podcast. Jimmy back with you. And today I have an interesting article I wanted to go over about something that's near and dear to my heart, and that is hunting for those, let's say, unique whitetail trophies. But first, your Texas history story of the day, the grass fight. The grass fight on November 26, 1835, became the last engagement in the siege of San Antonio before the final Texan assault on the town. In November, Colonel Domingo de Ugartechea had left San Antonio with a cavalry escort to guide reinforcements to the garrison commanded by General Martin Perfecto de Cos. After the departure of Stephen F. Austin to represent Texas in the United States, the Texan Army elected as commander Colonel Edward Burleson, who continued to harass Cos while scouting for the return of Ugartechea. On November 26, Erastus Deaf Smith rode into the Texas camp in mid-morning with information that Mexican cavalry with pack animals were approaching San Antonio. Texas soldiers wondered if the column might be carrying pay for the Mexican army. Burleson ordered James Bowie and 40 cavalry to delay the Mexicans' progress. 100 Texas infantry under William H. Jack followed Bowie to seize the supply train. The two cavalry forces of about equal size began to skirmish west of town and soon fought on foot from ravines near Alzan Creek. Cos sent about 50 infantry with an artillery piece to help oppose the Texan attack. The Texas infantry broke out of a crossfire from the two Mexican units and pushed them back. Mexican troops counterattacked 4 times until Texas reinforcements under James Swisher caused them to pull back into the town. Texas losses included 4 wounded, while Mexican losses numbered 3 dead and 14 wounded, mostly among the cavalry. When the Texans brought in 40 captured pack animals, they discovered their prizes carried only grass to feed army animals. All right, so let's get into this article that I told y'all about. Now, this one is in our favorite newspaper, the Lone Star Outdoor News, a November edition, and it's entitled, "In a Class of Their Own." Now, when I got this edition and I saw the picture that was above the fold, as they say in the old paper business, I saw these two amazing antlers popping up, and they were so close together and straight up. Let's see, it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, possibly a 9-point. I think there might be a kicker on one of these, but definitely an 8-point, where the main beams are almost straight up and almost touching at the top of the head of the buck. Now, the reason why this caught my eye immediately, other than the fact that, of course, it's a unique looking deer, is the fact that, man, that's what I love to kill. I am a cull hunter, a management aficionado. Those are the trophies. Those are the true trophies in my book, the very unique antler sets. The ones that are not symmetrically perfect, or they have they're all even like 10, 12 points. Although don't get me wrong, those are amazing bucks to take, but I love the ones that have the weird shapes coming out, and one side is odd, the other side looks nice, or one's weirder than others, or something like that. So this was an interesting article. I wanted to talk to you, run by you guys, talk to y'all about it. And I'd love to hear if some of you, or if other people out there, are you like a true, typical buck hunter, or do you really enjoy, get going after those very unique ones? And every single one that I get, I'll boil the skull and I'll hang it. And I have a what do you call it, a cull gallery, if you will, a unique buck gallery hanging in my closet. I mean, not my closet, in my garage. That's the only place my wife will allow me to put those. So that's where they stay. But that's all right. I got a lot of wall space in the garage. I hope someday to start getting to the point where I start hanging the antler skulls on the ceiling. That would be really cool. It reminds me of, some of you guys are from Dallas. I haven't been there in years. I'm sure it's still the same. If you take your meat to Kubi's around downtown area, and you walk in there, and they have all of the skull caps, on the ceiling and whatnot. Maybe one day I'll have that, whether here or if I get a ranch of my own someday, we'll have a little area where we put those things. But anyway, let's go through this article and see if some of these folks are as obsessed as I am for these unique looking bucks. So here we go. So the definition of the term trophy buck varies. Yes, it does. While many are in pursuit of a deer that will measure up to a certain score value, others get excited about targeting bucks with unique characteristics. So far this season, multiple extraordinary deer have been harvested by hunters, at least in terms of their antlers. Alec Cavazos shot a 6.5-year-old 9-point buck with his bow in Brooks County that gives new meaning to the phrase high and tight. The inside spread of the buck's antlers was 6.75 inches. Okay, so there was 9 points. Yep. Quote, I first noticed the deer during the summertime, and he immediately caught my attention. Yeah, no, I'd be drooling since summer till November for that guy. Cavazos said, I just thought he was a really cool looking buck, and I made it my mission to target him this season. Cavazos had the buck in bow range on the opening weekend of archery season, but the deer busted him while he was drawing his bow and ran off. Oh, God, that'd be a terrible feeling. Cavazos continued to pursue him from a bow blind, but the deer never showed back up. I began to wonder if I had spooked him enough to bump him out of the area, he said. Then, during a morning hunt, the buck showed up well before legal shooting light. I really thought he was going to leave before I would have enough time to make an ethical shot. The buck stuck around, though, and Cavazos was just about ready to draw his bow when a boar came out of the bush. Ah, come on. The large pig ran off all the deer, and for about 45 minutes, I never saw another deer, Cavazos said. The boar finally left, and the deer started to show back up. I could see the buck I was after coming my way, and he ended up turning broadside at about 25 yards from the blind. I let an arrow fly, and I watched him fall about 30 yards away. Oh, wow. Very great hunt. Talk about the discipline and the patience when you have that large boar in front of you. I wonder if he had any good tusks. It'd be tough to pass that dude by. But it'd be tough to pass up that boar after he ran off the deer, because obviously you have no guarantee that buck's going to come back into that day. So it's like, well, do you take this big boar? I mean, especially if he might have been skull mountable if he had big tusks or anything like that, or do you wait like he did? And wow, I guess patience. This goes to show patience pays off sometimes. He said, Tony Vendel Jr., this is the next story, harvested a unique spike while hunting in Willacy County on some family property. Wow, look at that. So the picture, good Lord, the spike is Giant. The buck spikes were 11 and 11.5 inches long. Quote, when I first saw the spike on camera, I wasn't sure that it was a whitetail at first, to be honest, Vindel said. It looked more like some sort of exotic antelope. I had never seen a whitetail spike with antlers that long before. Yeah, no, that right there is an ultimate trophy. Good God. Vindel really thought the deer was unique and hunted hard for him with his bow during archery season, but his efforts were to no avail. He recently made a sit in a rifle blind when the spike stepped out of the brush. Talk about ultimate buck fever right there when you see that guy. The spike didn't come into the feeder, Vindel said. He just stepped out into a sendero that had corned and started eating among several does. I took my shot and was able to finally harvest him. Chance Turney is another bow hunter who was determined to harvest a unique buck. Turney had been watching the deer the past couple seasons on his family property in Hood County and had always considered him more of a cull buck because he had such a lopsided or uneven frame. His left side was always impressive, but his right side was fairly weak in past seasons, Turney said. However, this season the deer made some serious gains. He had 14 points and ended up scoring approximately 154 inches. The buck virtually disappeared for the majority of October during bow season. I finally got lucky and the deer showed up while I was in the stand, Turney said. He gave me a shot at about 27 yards away. The buck fell within 20 yards or so where he was standing when my arrow hit him. The deer, Turney's best, is the largest buck taken on the Turney's family property so far. Well, that's great. Congratulations to both you guys. Those two, if I had gotten those, would be 2 trophies sitting. I mean, I'd have to actually shoulder mount those things probably just because of how unique they are. I mean, if you guys don't have a subscription to this Lone Star Outdoor News, you see if you could find it online where, I mean, you see the length of these spikes. It's pretty amazing. And then the first one that we talked about there, really, really cool. I think what I'm going to do here next. So quail season's been in for over a month now. Hearing some good reports. Curious about what everyone else there's seeing. If we got some quail hunters in the audience, let us know how that's going for you. My family's place, it goes up and down, varies by year. It's literally a crapshoot. Some years where there's some good rain. Now this is all in like West Texas, very West Texas. Well, yeah, but out in West Texas, terrain is very flat, perfect quail country. But a lot of it depends on how much rain, obviously, every year and whatnot. And literally, it could go one year, it could be feast, the next year's famine. So we haven't really haven't been able to get out there. Not very good reports yet on the quail, but I hope to report back on that. But send us in what's going on with y'all's hunts. Really appreciate hearing about it. And then, of course, we have the split season of dove. Now that'll be coming up, in a couple of weeks, for depending on what zone you're in. Evidently, dove hunting, averaged across the state pretty dang good. Once again, Lone Star Outdoor News says, according to Texas Dove Hunters Association, October was one of the best dove hunting months in recent memory. Hopefully, a lot of folks out there have experienced that. I didn't get to do that. If you've been listening to the podcast a little bit, I did go out one weekend, I think the third weekend, hunting, and saw a ton of white wings, but it was just very hard to hit them. Very high, very fast. But the paper goes on to say, agency and outfitter reports are unanimously confirming the birds showed up later this season and plentiful. So, maybe that bodes well for the coming split season. I don't hunt it. I haven't hunted it that often in the past, but I may do some this year. Let's see, north region starts December 20th. Excuse me. Central and South start up again December 13th. So, put that on your calendar. Get ready for that, especially if you've tagged out on your your deer, your whitetail, and whatnot, and you want to keep going after something. That is definitely something else to keep an eye on. Reason to get out there. And of course, my compadre, old Corn Bandit, duck season is his forte. And you have, it's kind of a split week depending on where you are. North Zone ended the 1st, so well, this is being recorded on the 2nd, so it ended yesterday. Starts up again on the 7th, and then same on the South Zone, but it starts up again on the December 14th. So put those mark those dates down in your calendar. Be sure you don't miss that small split in the season. You don't want to get old in trouble out there, get all smoky on your heels. Let's see what else. Yeah, that's about. I mean, there's a bunch of other things out there. Just hitting the high points, of course. Pheasant starts up on the December 7th. That's up in the Panhandle, South Plains. So if you're up in that region, or you can make a run up there, go for it. That'd be awesome. And let's see. Oh yeah, just quick reminder: whitetail deer general seasons. In January 5th, so you still got some time, almost a month left to get out there and get your, get that tag on your buck or your doe and get that meat. That's the North Zone. South Zone runs till January 19th. So just remember those dates, but you're still good if you're listening to this in early December when I'm filming it. Another thing that would be really cool someday that I'd love to do, of course, is get a mule deer. I've never done that. Corn Bandit has. Those seasons are about to end. Well, in the Panhandle, it ends on December 8th. And then in the Trans-Pecos, that ends on December 15th. So just remember that. And that is your hunting season reminder update from the Fiend Bandit podcast. So with all that, I hope you guys had a good Thanksgiving. I hope you're getting all prepared for having a great Christmas season. If you haven't gone out already to get your deer, I hope you have those bags packed or plans on the calendar. If you're waiting for your son or daughter for their school to end, hopefully that comes sooner rather than later so you can get out there. But you know what? I always say, you can make up a day of school or two, but you can't make up one of those good hunts with your child, and your child can't make it up with you. So, if it's a matter of skipping school or not, then I think I know where I would fall on that matter. And just one more kind of article in Lone Star Hunting. Lone Star Outdoors around that subject matter. It's called "Cutting Class for First Buck." Let's see what someone here did. Evelyn Masters began this deer season with the goal of harvesting her first buck. The 9-year-old wanted to use her crossbow and had been watching a particular 8-pointer on camera on a property where she and her dad hunt together in Wilson County. The buck disappeared for a few weeks when acorns started falling, but recently started showing up and patterning regularly. Masters' parents let her skip school in the middle of the week in order to pursue the deer, and she made a perfect shot with a crossbow to accomplish her goal. My daddy always said that the best time to hunt a buck is when he is showing up, she said. So when he came home from work and told me that the buck had started showing back up on camera every morning that week, I asked my mom if I could stay home from school the next morning and go hunting with my dad. She said it would be okay to miss just this one time. Masters and her dad got up early the next morning and snuck into the elevated bow blind in the dark. My dad threw out some hand corn when we wanted the buck to hopefully stand for me to get a shot, Masters said. As the woods began to wake up with the sounds of birds chirping, the deer began to slowly filter in. In the gray light of dawn, Masters finally noticed that one of the deer walking her way was the buck she was hoping to get a shot at. Dad told me to be patient and sit quietly, she said. We wanted to let him come in and get comfortable. After what seemed like forever, the buck was standing broadside, and my dad asked me if I was ready to take my shot. Buck was standing at about 15 yards from their blind. As Masters took a steady aim with her crossbow, she held the crosshairs tight to her shoulder, just like she had practiced, and squeezed the trigger. I watched as the bolt hit him right where I was aiming, she said. He jumped and mule kicked and then took off running. Masters and her dad watched as the buck ran about 40 or 45 yards before crashing just out of view. We waited about 15 minutes and then got down out of the blind to find my arrow. There was a steady blood trail to where he fell down, and before I knew it, I was standing next to my very first buck. The 8-pointer had a 17-inch spread and was estimated to be 5 or 6 years old. I was shaking with excitement, Master said. It was such an amazing feeling to make a good shot and see all my hard work and practice come together in this moment with my dad. Masters returned to school the next day with a printed picture of her and her buck. On the back of the photo, her dad wrote an excuse note for her absence. Her teacher that read, "Please excuse Evelyn Masters' absence. The acorns were raining, the bucks were moving, and the good Lord blessed her with the opportunity to kill her first buck. Thank you for understanding." Well, if that's not the best excuse for missing a day of school, I don't know what it is. So with that, I will leave you with this one. Thanks for listening. And remember, support your local feed store and all the local businesses that are there to support you. Y'all take care.
Well, I hope the bandits gave you an interesting episode that either entertained or educated you. Or better yet, both. Hell, I told them this podcasting thing looks harder to do than defeating Santa Anna. So if you would, please help them out by sharing it with all your like-minded friends to help the bandits get the word out. And don't forget to check us out at feedbandit.com and grab some gear and apparel to support the cause of Texas. Remember, Texas, above all else, preserve the tradition, protect the legacy. Finally, as I said some time ago on the eve of the great battle, and I vigorously repeat here again, be men, be free men, that your children may bless their father's name. Well, fellow bandit, until next time.